Hello and welcome again to As We May Think. This is a different kind of show than the other ones I've done in the past. Those were basically about things that I thought kind of every developer should know. I'll be doing some in the future about mentoring junior developers, but this particular series is about stuff that not necessarily everybody needs to know, but it's stuff that could be fun to play with and could make your apps a lot better for you. So think of it as kind of like a DevCrate, a subscription box for developers. So here's your monthly delivery of this, although you might get it a little bit more often than monthly. I want to show if this, then that. If you've never used it, then you should at least check it out because it's a simple way to connect dozens of different applets or applications and pieces of hardware and whatnot to other dozens of pieces of hardware and applications and whatnot. It comes with dozens and dozens of example applets that do all kinds of things, like when you add a song you like on YouTube, it automatically finds the same music and puts it in Spotify. Or every time you add a new thing on your Alexa shopping list, it adds it to iOS reminders. So there's literally thousands and thousands of possible combinations of this and that. They're all neat combinations, but maybe there isn't one that's exactly what you want. You have an app of your own, and you want to connect it to either generate events, become the this, or you want to receive events. You want to become the that. And what I'm going to show you is how to do exactly that. Now, for the first part of this, I don't want to do what I often do, which is kind of type my way through the code. I don't think there's a lot of point for that in this case. So I'm going to show you how we would go about creating an applet, and then I'm going to show you the code that you would use to generate an event, for example. So what I'm going to show you now is generating the this part of things, where you can generate events and cause them to trigger things on if this then that. So we're going to start that out by going to my applets, and obviously I had to create an account on if this then that. There's no fee for that. You can just create an account on here, and then you can go into my applets and indicate that you want a new applet. But before that, we're going to take a quick look at the service we're going to use. It's the webhook service. So here's the webhook service. And there's a documentation page. When you go look at your services, there's a documentation page for the webhooks. Now, I'm not going to actually go to that page because it's got a key all over it. So I'm going to show you what that page looks like with my key removed from the page. So this is the page you'll see. And it'll say your key is, and there'll be a long string right here. That is your key that you have to use in your URL whenever you are calling it. So if you go to your documentation page, it'll look just like this one, except you'll see your key here, and here, and here. And it shows you have to make a post and send it to this address. Here's the event name. You'll see that again in a minute. And then they even show you how to do it from the command line with curl just to try it out. I just didn't want to have to blur out the keys all over the page, so I thought I'd just show you that version of things. So let's go back to my applets. We're going to say we're going to create a new applet, and it's obviously the first thing we're doing is the this part of things. So we're going to say webhook. All right. Whenever we receive a web request, all right, we're going to use test event. Now the interesting thing about the way they've done this is there isn't just one endpoint. You have one endpoint that is dedicated to you, a URL that whenever they see it, they know the event came from you because it's got that long key in it. But in addition, it has an event name in it, which means you can have as many different events as you need to have in if this or then that. So I could have a test event and we made a sale event and all kinds of different events that can happen within our apps, and send them all separately. And if can tell the difference between all of them. So we're going to create the trigger, and that's all it took. So as far as they're concerned, they're now watching for that trigger. Now we have to actually hook it to something. So we're going to pick something really simple in this case. We're going to pick email. and we're going to say send me an email, and we're going to get this in the subject line. It's going to automatically put in the event name. So in our case, it'll be test event. And then the body is going to have this information in it, including a value 1, a value 2, and a value 3. We can modify this if we need to, but I'm going to take the default one for the moment. You could type this in, and you can change the spot at which these occur. You just hit the add event and indicate which things you want included. What these things look like depends upon what this you selected was. So a particular this might have different things that come with it. And we're going to create the action. And we're going to finish. We now have exactly one applet. It's watching for a test event, and then it's going to send me an email at my Gmail address. Let's go to Gmail real quick. And we're sitting there, we're ready, we're waiting. Okay, let's actually call that. So if you look on GitHub, there will be a link in the show notes for this particular video that has a link to this GitHub, which contains all of the code that you're about to see, including the this and the that code. So let's look at the this code first. What this does is, in this example, I have already put my key into a .env file, and so you can't see it in here. And then I have a single function that I've created that automatically calls, puts the key in, puts the event in, and it provides, if I provide a value 1, a value 2, and a value 3, those also go to the back end as well. So here I am actually calling this function. You would not need to rewrite this at all. You could just use this function as is in your own code. We're going to run this, and when we do, if John can hit the right keys. There we go, John. Okay, so we're going to actually do node this, and what should happen then? Okay, we just fired a test event. Now if we go over here and we look at our email, boop, there it is. We got the email. It said in the subject, as I said it would, test event, and we got the extra values in the body. Just as easily as I did that, I could go back into this and I could make it do something pretty different. For example, I could say, I don't want to, I could make a different version of this that would make a phone call to me, for example. Or I could make another version that would do the same kind of thing, only it would play a sound somewhere, or turn my lights on and off, or do all kinds of things. But right away, I have started generating events, and then they resulted in something happening. And all it took was that little chunk of code you saw there, which you could reuse in your own app. So right away, you're able to start generating events from your apps very easily. Okay, let's take the other side of the equation. What if I want to receive events based on something happening? Now in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use there is an if this then that app that runs on my phone. I have an iOS device. I'm pretty sure there's an Android version as well, probably. And for it has a button that you can push. So you can tie events on that button to other things. So what we're going to do is we're going to make use of that. We're going to make a new applet. And we're going to say button widget. So every time this happens, then we want to receive an event. So again, we're going to pick webhooks. This will make a public web request to a publicly addressable URL, and that URL in this case is, let's see what the address to type in. All right, we're going to go with H. Okay, so we're now able to make a call. That's my IP address that I want to call. I'm going to do a post, and I'm going to do application JSON. Okay. We're going to finish that. So now we have another applet waiting. So if we look at our applets, we now have two different applets. And we're going to look at the code for generating, or for receiving events. In this case, it's nothing more than a standard website. This is basically the most crude example of Express. This is their Hello World Express app. All I've done to it is I added this so that it would parse the body if there's actually JSON coming in. In this case, there's not going to be any. The button doesn't generate any JSON. And then we're going to watch for a post on the address that we typed in earlier. And then if we get it, we're going to log out that it got called and what the body was. Now, again, as I said, there won't be any body. But let's go ahead and fire this up. Node. Okay, so now it's sitting there waiting, listening. I'm going to go onto my phone. I'm going to find the widget in question. I see a button. I'll take a screenshot of this so that everybody can see what it looks like. There we go. I just sent an event, and there it is right there. My app just received the call from if this then that. Couldn't be easier. You could have just as easily, they have ways you can call a phone number and generate an event. Turn on your toaster oven probably. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of things that you could use to source an event, and then you could receive it on your website and use it to trigger who knows what. It starts the backups. It automatically turns on or off a feature. It could do almost anything. You saw how easy it is to use. I hope you make use of it. It's a lot of fun. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.